Hey, Jim Toscano here, and welcome to the Monday night live stream, Filling in the Grooves, where we're bringing you, hopefully, some of the greatest drummers that I am inspired by and that I wish to bring to you. And we get to share their stories and and talk to them. And hopefully you guys will jump into the chat and say hello. I have a really special guest tonight. Before I bring in my guest tonight, I just want to give you guys kind of the rundown of the next few. So next week I have my buddy Rodney Howard on. You may know him from the drum chair of Avril Lavigne, Talia. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for many years, so he'll be on next week with me. And then the week after that, we have a Hit Like a Girl contest winner. Victoria Bialik is going to be on from Poland. And by the way, I'm a judge on the Hit Like a Girl contest for the U.S. this year. So you'll be seeing that posted on social media. So I'm one of the judges. And then the following week, I have Gary Husband on, who is an amazing multi-instrumentalist, plays drums and keyboards, and he's a composer and producer. So Gary Husband will be with us. And you probably know him from Billy Cobham's band, playing keyboards in Billy's band for a long time. And then the following week, I have Russ Miller on, great studio drummer, Russ Miller. And then we just added to the list Adam Deach from Lettuce, as well as Break Science and a few other bands. He's a great funk drummer and groove drummer. And Danny Gottlieb's going to be on real soon. So there's the rundown. I just wanted to give you the calendar real quick. And I want to thank some companies, Vader Drumsticks, Prologix Percussion, Offset Pedals, Sabian Cymbals, Black Magic Designs. So those are the companies that I'm passionate about and that have been so supportive to me. And up in the corner, you can follow my link tree. And with that QR code, just click the QR code. You can also hit the QR code for my mailing list so you find out about upcoming live streams. And, of course, my Kitco page for all the gear recommendations in my crazy studio here. So now, my guest tonight is a friend, a fellow New Yorker, an incredible studio musician and touring drummer for many, many years. And I'm just going to name some of the artists that he worked with over the years. So this, to me, is New York drumming royalty. And so I'm gonna mention first some of the biggest names in the business: John Lennon, Diana Ross, James Brown, Jimi Hendrix, Alice Cooper, Kiss, Frank Sinatra, Rod Stewart, Grace Slick, Roberta Flack, Frankie Valli, Tony Orlando. Come on, are you kidding me? Gloria Gaynor, Brecker Brothers at a time, Stan Getz Band, Pat Travers Band. I mean, the list goes on and on. The discography is organized by decades because there's so many records, and he's been sampled a whole bunch of times. And you might know him from James Brown, the Funky President. So the Funky President of drumming, Allan Schwartzberg. How you doing, Allan?
Good, thank you.
Hey,
Thank you, man.
Let me fade that out.
hey there.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, baby. I just hit it. Nice. Allan,
Thank you.
welcome to the show, man.
Good to be with you. Great to see you.
Great to see you. And I know you're coming to me from Florida right now, from Florida.
Yep.
Yeah.
Taking a break from the world, a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. So, and you guys you do this every year. You kind of snowbirding and heading down to Florida.
Yep, it's not a brilliant new concept. It's, birds with their little brains do it. Just fly out of there when it gets cold,
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's great. And
I don't know about you, but my hands start to get hard to clench, during the cold weather. It's like I don't even feel the grip sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They start to hurt. They get tight, right? So, and man, we just dealt with, a whole bunch of snow. So I've been out shoveling. Had to go to Brooklyn and shovel my mom's house out, shovel her driveway. Come back to Staten Island, shovel my house out, my driveway.
You're a good boy, Jim.
I try. You got to take care of mom, right? So
absolutely.
So, and I wanna give a special thanks to your wife Susan for loaning you to me tonight, because I know you guys probably had dinner plans that could have been happening tonight, but I have you with me, and I appreciate that.
Well, it's a pleasure.
We got to
It's
give
a
it up for the
pleasure.
wives because
Yes, absolutely.
they put up with our
That's,
shenanigans. So
oh, she always has. Yeah,
yeah, man.
I could not have done anything without Susan behind me. Backing me,
Yeah,
support. You know,
that's right.
sessions that were back to back, close together. That you want to when you want to make them all, yet the logistics are really rough. So you can't afford a limo driver or, to wait for you to finish the other session. But I could afford my wife, and
Nice.
she did that a lot. And
Wow.
it's been a nice journey, the
Yeah,
two
man.
of us.
Wow.
I
And
wanted to mention one other band that I played with that, actually two other ones. I don't know if you did mention it, that I was kind of proud was Peter Gabriel's first album
I was going to
and
mention
first
that.
tour, and Mountain. I played with Mountain. You might be one of the few people that know who Mountain is, but
Yeah, man.
and that was a tour of Japan with them and an album. But anyway,
Yeah, and with Peter Gabriel, that was Salisbury Hill.
yes, that was the album that had Salisbury Hill.
Yeah, yeah. Man.
So yeah, it was a crazy band, beautiful band. Uh, Salisbury Hill I think is in 7/4, and I was playing. Jimmy Malin, the percussionist, and I broke up the part into two pieces. I played on that one. I played live bass drum and live shaker. He played mallets on phone books.
Oh, wow.
So when you hear like kind of a dead sound, that's vibe mallets on phone books, open phone books.
Oh my
And
God.
I really wasn't sure of the meter and everything, so I just realized if I played in 1/4, that I could never be wrong,
That's
especially
great.
because I was playing quarter notes.
Yeah, man.
Anyway,
Oh,
little
wow.
behind the scenes story there.
I love that. And the Mountain record, that was pretty early, right? That Mountain album. Um,
Yeah,
where's I had that written down, by the way. The name of that record. What was the name of that record again?
Twin Peaks.
Oh, right, Twin Peaks. Wow. So that's so cool. Those are great. You must have great memories from that. And that was pretty early in your career, those two touring gigs that you just mentioned.
Yeah, it was. I think that was the first time I ever experienced the live the live gig where the audience rushes the stage,
Right.
and the sound is like a roar that's coming from them. In Japan, it was in Tokyo, and it's funny that we had a band that opened for us called Creation. And I don't know I think they went on to do some good stuff, and Felix Pappalardi produced them, but they were so good. It was so great. And I didn't think we were as good, yet, but here we were coming from America with Mississippi Queen,
Yeah.
and that made up for a lot, I guess.
Oh
But they
my
were
gosh.
wonderful, wonderful audience.
What is your, what is like one of your best memories of working just alongside somebody like Leslie West, who's a big personality, huge sound?
Yeah, he's a great player. He was a great player. Um, he had to be kind of tempered a little bit because he could actually turn into like a 5-year-old.
Right.
Leslie, do not bowl the oranges down down the aisle of the bullet train. Just, it's not right. Don't do it. Okay.
Wow.
You heard the term ugly American. Let's not let them go there, you know?
That's right.
And but he was sweet, played great. Felix was very dynamic,
Yeah.
and he ran the whole tour himself with just a couple of people. And that was a lot of fun. Peter Gabriel was a wonderful, wonderful artist to work with. Every song he would play for us, it would start out like I had never heard a song like that, so I would say, I'm laughing at myself thinking that I used to say, I'm not sure I hear drums on this, you know, because I didn't have a part, because it didn't fit anything that your frame of reference
Right.
it didn't fit. But then you dig down, everybody digs and digs, and what a great album I thought that first solo album.
Yeah, amazing record. And I mean, I think his whole catalog is really amazing, but
Oh yeah,
early on, as you're saying, like, it was probably a different dynamic in the studio trying to figure out what to bring to the table for that, because he did become more of, let's say, regular song kind of formats later on, as he figured out sort of how to blend the pop formula sort of into what he did to make those hit records later. But I love the early stuff, and it's just what a dynamic sort of writing style to bring, and talented musician, man, and bringing the best that he could find into the business. So it's great.
Amazing lyricist, as you know.
Yeah.
And it was about midway through the tour of England that I said, Peter, I got to tell you, my favorite song of the night is always, and I forgot the title right now, but I got to tell you, man, I don't understand one fucking word that you're singing. He said, I haven't written the lyrics yet.
Oh, that's so funny.
So he was singing like snatches of a word, like there you see the light and and cares, and and just sounds, and there were just sounds that he was making with an occasional word, an actual word.
Oh my God!
And it was beautiful, and it changed. It made it a little easier to get through it, but it was fun. Great tour. We had some beautiful people. Steve Hunter was playing guitar.
Who was playing
bass?
Do you remember
him?
Who? Oh,
Steve Hunter from Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And Tony Levin playing bass.
Right, Tony Levin. Oh my God.
Jimmy Malin, percussionist, one of the great percussionists.
Who you worked with on some other records as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would try to get Jimmy. I love working with Jimmy. We were best friends, and I would try to get him, selfishly try to get him on every date that I could.
Nice.
Because it was just made everything so much easier to play with. He had such a great feel.
Yeah.
And he was a true rock and roll percussionist, not just congas and bongos and Latin stuff.
Right.
All kinds of Brazilian-y things, and things that he invented. It was wonderful. Great band.
Wow.
Great laughs.
Man, that's the key with working. I mean, it's difficult working with a percussionist if you're not used to that, I would imagine. But if you both have big ears and you allow space for each other to exist, there's so much magic you can do with a percussionist.
Oh yeah, we did a thing that was a lot of fun. We would at certain cadences we would break up the fills between toms and timpani. He was playing timpani, so start off a fill like and he would go, boom, you know.
Wow.
But on temps, and he had like 2 or 3 temps set up on every show. What a great effect! And you don't see that often, you know.
No, rarely.
Yeah,
Now it'll all be sampled on somebody's Roland SPD. You know, it's like
right.
somebody's just going to use their sample pad for the timpani. Unfortunately,
Exactly.
yeah. Oh my God. So the great memories there, man. I was fortunate enough to play with Pete Levin's with Tony Levin's brother Pete.
Pete, yeah,
Great keyboard player, man. And
yeah, beautiful guy, beautiful guy.
beautiful guy. Oh my God. That's great stuff. And I also noticed, I'm pretty sure that Jimmy was playing percussion on that Alice Cooper record on a couple of tracks, right?
Oh yeah. We did that at
Alice Cooper Goes to Hell, right?
we did Alice Cooper Goes to Hell and Lace and Whiskey.
Right.
I did another part of another album without credit because it wasn't the hippest thing in the world those days. Like Kiss, I did, you know, I think I did get credit on The Elder.
Yeah, they credited you on that. Yeah.
But I did some other tracks, fills, I think, but they didn't want to mess around with the band. The band is the band. They don't need all the information, you know. But I did get credit with the single albums, the solo albums, Peter Criss's solo, and Gene Simmons' solo album.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, on The Elder, they credited you for tom fills on one of the tunes. So I guess Eric Carr was playing drums on it. It was sort of a shuffle tune, and you were doing the triplet tom fills.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's really cool. But then the tune that you actually played on that record, I think it's like Odyssey or something like that, is sort of like it's kind of like an R&B ballad. And so maybe it just wasn't right for the core band to play that tune, and they brought you in because you had such a great feel. So that tune was a departure from the rest of the record. You almost don't recognize it as a Kiss tune.
Right. Bob Ezrin on that tune. I don't know if you ever had this asked of you in the studio, but he said, "Okay, that was a good track. That felt cool. Let's just double it. You double it. Double your part." What? double my. And you know what the odds of getting through a couple of bars without flamming?
Right,
you know?
right.
Oh, it was maddening, but he did not want to do it with a delay. He didn't want to do it electronically. Ezrin wanted to do it live, and somehow we got through it.
Oh my
hours
God! So
later.
that whole tune is double tracked.
Yeah,
for drums. Wow. You know, like you look at some, you know, like famous rock albums like Boston's first album, that tune More Than a Feeling, and like all the guitars are double tracked. But that guy always double tracked all of his guitars, and he was really good at it.
Yeah.
I would imagine for a drummer, like for the first time being asked to double track drums, that must have been a little like, what? Like, you know, you think about how much ghosting, you know, ghost notes and like little things that you're doing in your hands, and you're like, oh man. So when you double tracked it, did you try to catch all of that, or did you sort of play the meat of the groove more stripped down?
I just went for the big notes. I went for the back, mainly the back beats, and as little flamming as possible.
Yeah.
Flams don't work on that.
No.
You know.
Wow, that's a cool
and
story.
It was at, I just remembered, it was at Ace Frehley's house.
Oh,
he had a studio built into a hill outside of his house.
Oh wow.
It was wild. It was great. Just beautiful. I think Anton Fig did some stuff up there too.
Yeah. on those solo records, Anton played some stuff too.
Right.
But did you do the whole Gene Simmons album?
Yes.
His solo record? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. We did it in a place called the Manor outside of London in Oxfordshire. And Gene Simmons was going out with Cher at the time.
Right.
And we all lived together for a month. That was a trip.
That's a trip. Holy moly.
Good morning, Cher. Like we're all having breakfast together, it's like, it was something.
Wow.
It was great fun. And she was great fun too, actually.
By the way, my buddy, I'll go into the chat pretty soon, but my buddy chimed in and said that Ace Studio is Ace in the Hole Studios.
Oh, is that what it's called? Ace in the Hole?
Yeah, that's what he named it. Ace in the Hole
Oh,
Studios.
that's a great name.
That is a great
I didn't
name.
realize that.
Wow.
That's
so
funny.
Wait a minute. So you played on Peter Criss's solo album, and so because he played drums on some of the record, right?
Yeah. I played on, I think a little more than half of it.
Wow.
With Peter sitting next to me.
So cool.
Which so cool. He was just the best. I mean, you can't, you just use your imagination where that could have gone, right?
Right.
Hey, what's the big deal? Yeah, I could have done this, whatever. And I wouldn't blame him, But
wow.
Anyway, he was great.
I reached out to him to get him on the show, by the way.
Yeah. What'd he say?
I never heard back. I have a feeling that maybe, because I think his current wife manages him, and maybe she just didn't pass it along to him. I think he would do it if he knew that, what this is about, that we hang and we talk about, everybody's story. I think he would be into it.
Unless she's a business manager with dollar signs and, you never know. No, I wish I could tell him to do it, man. You're going to get everybody, you're the kind of guy that'll get everybody he goes after,
Yeah. I mean,
if you get a chance to speak to them,
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you got to go through the goalie, the manager.
That's
They're
right.
like goalies. And it's hard. Anyway, did I interrupt something you were about to do?
No, it's all good. What I was thinking is, I'm just going to ask a little bit about the beginning of your backstory. Then we'll check the chat out and we'll see who's hanging out in here. But
okay.
What I wanted to ask you is, what was the moment when, however old you were, because you're a fellow New Yorker, when you went, that. I want to play drums. I see that. What was the spark for you?
I'll tell you the exact moment, man, because I had that moment where my first 5 years of education were yeshiva.
All right.
Not because my parents were religious, but because it was just better schools. They thought it was a better school. So in those days, I would walk to yeshiva, and that would be about, like, say, 10 long blocks. And in those days, it was, kids, you would let like an 8 or 9-year-old kid walk. You didn't need to chaperone. And I'm walking by this brownstone with my prayer books and Jewish paraphernalia. And I hear like a Cozy Cole or like a Topsy or Gene Krupa snare, cranking, zanking, wanking, just that the rim shots, just they were flying up my tush, it was like, wow, what is that? I never heard anything like that. And I was like, my eyes must have been like wide open and jaw dropped. And I just stood there as long as I could stand there without being late to school. And I would listen for that on the way to school every time. And that was it. I came home from that day. I started banging on large appliances, you know,
Yes.
getting a deeper sound out of the washing machine from the side panel because it was thinner gauge metal, getting a more of a boom. And then, anyway, you know what I mean.
Oh,
And
yeah.
pots and pans, and then eventually a drum set
Wow.
for my birthday. Yeah. Gretsch, beautiful old Gretsch set.
Wait, your first drum kit. So how old were you? What birthday was that?
I was my 13th.
13th birthday. So you got a Gretsch kit for your 13th birthday. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Blue Pearl, I remember. And Gretsch used to be in Brooklyn at the time.
Yeah.
And my parents were friendly with the factory manager for some weird connection.
What?
But I'll get your boys some drums. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
I'd love to see what they say, hear what they sound like today.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just a good buddy of mine is a Gretsch collector, and I just had him on a few weeks ago, and
Yeah.
he was showing slides of all the Gretsch drums that he owns. His name is Dave Clive. He's a Brooklyn guy, and he calls it Dave Clive's Gretsch Museum, and
Wow.
he's got a pair of blue. Somebody, wait a minute. I had two guys on that night. I'm trying to remember, but somebody had. Alan, your camera went out. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
But somebody had some blue. I'll have to ask him about that. Blue Pearl, you said, right?
it was Blue Pearl. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. I love hearing that. Just, the beginnings, how it starts for people,
And I'm pretty sure there was a knob on the snare drum for a muffler.
Right.
You
For
would turn the knob.
dampening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
turn the knob.
Wow, man.
Mm.
What about cymbals? What'd you do for that?
Oh, I think somebody put together hi-hats and one Zildjian ride,
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun, man.
They asked, I guess my parents asked the guy at the Gretsch factory, what's good and all that stuff. So he got it for me. But I had amazing neighbors, man. Lived in an apartment building,
Oh, wow.
and I ended up practicing 8 hours a day, and they were cool about it. They were, believe it or not, they were amazing about it. It's
See, can you
I
imagine?
was going
Like,
to say don't try that at home, but I did try it at home, and man, I got away with it.
Can you imagine if your neighbors sucked? How like that would have been? It would have been a rougher time trying to learn.
It would have changed. It would have changed things. It really would have. Never thought of that.
I believe
If they
that.
would have been really intolerant of the noise, wow.
Your parents might
I
have
don't-
sold those drums and bought you a flute.
right.
Oh my God! Wow, that's great. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's hit the chat window and let's just
Okay.
see. Let's see what people are saying. We'll say hello to a few people, and then we'll continue with our little story. Wait, let me
Great,
just-
Jim.
gonna- all right, two shot with chat. Here we go. All right, so, oh yeah, we got some action. All right, let's see. So we have first one in, Anthony Cusina saying hello, just saying greetings, gentlemen. Hello, Anthony. How you doing? Anthony's a great
Hello.
drummer from New Jersey, and he's a wonderful guy. He's also a drum teacher. Lucia Seminara, who's one of my young female students from Staten Island, is saying hello to you, Alan. So Lucia's here.
Oh, hello.
Ray Levere is here, great drummer. He's got some dates coming up. I'll plug your dates later, Ray. Ray hanging with us. My mom is here. My mom's hanging out.
Beautiful. From Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn, yep. John Gill from Oneonta, New York, hanging with us. And he's plugging an upcoming webinar that I'm doing. Thank you, John, on my Sabian Education Network. Bob Sears saying hello. Bob Sears from New Hampshire. New Hampshire. Lucia first in with a question. Lucia says, Allan, what is the favorite track for you that you've ever played on?
I'll tell you what it is. Walking in My Sleep with Roger Daltrey. It was a Roger Daltrey single.
Yeah.
And with a close second by Funky President.
Nice. Which, by the way, I think has been sampled more times than we could count.
I know how many times, because there's an app that keeps track of that stuff. And it's 928 times it's been sampled by actual pretty big names. I mean, Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, LL Cool J, like all like a lot of big hip hop names, R&B names.
That's because it's such a funky groove in it, and it just sits so right. I played it at the top of the show, so guys, go definitely pull that up on Spotify or iTunes and listen to how infectious that groove is that Allan laid down. And I'm gonna hit Walking in My Sleep right now, just to I'll play. I can get away with a few seconds of it without getting banned. So. I dig the little ghost notes on the snare that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like that little scat, cats, cat. Yeah, it's really cool. Wow.
And there's some playing over the bar a little bit, playing over the bar line.
Yeah, with those tom
later
fills.
on in the song.
So are you, and you single track that? Obviously, no one made you double track on that record.
No, thank goodness.
But is it all played in one go through, or is it
it's one. That was one take. That was a take.
A take. Cool. I love that. And no overdubs of like fills or anything like that.
No overdubs. I just thought of another track that I want to put in there. What's the capsule. It was, believe it or not, it was a funky, raunchy little bit of a hit record called Dynamite.
Oh wow!
By a band called Bazooka, and that was done when I got word. I was at a studio in Jersey, and I got word that my wife's water broke and get to the hospital right away. And the producer, Tony Camillo, said, can we just do one take? Let's just one take. I said, one, no punch-ins, one take, count it off, let's do it. And I was way in South Jersey.
Oh my God.
And that became a hit. It's called Dynamite. And the artist is Bazooka. If you get a chance, I don't know if you ever heard it, but it's a cool track, I think.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. I was trying to pull it up, but I'm not pulling it up right now. But Bazooka, right, was the band?
Bazooka was the band.
The artist? Yeah. Cool. All right, I'll definitely check that. That's funny, man. And so was your daughter born that night?
Yeah.
Wow. So I mean that you have to, that's a memory. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. But with that, playing drums with that in the back of your mind,
yeah,
like motivation, you'll never find like that, rarely.
I have a similar story. I mean, just as far as my first daughter was born, I was playing an off-Broadway show called Rasputin at the Samuel Beckett Theater, and so I was in the pit playing, and I was playing electronic and acoustic percussion. And I get the call that she's going to the hospital. Same thing. Her water broke.
Oh, wow.
She's going to the hospital. And I looked at the MD, and he was like, just go. He's like, just go. So like we finished that, that number that we were in the middle of, and then I bolted. They didn't have percussion for the rest of the night. I couldn't get it. We were in the show, so I couldn't get a sub in such short notice.
Right.
So when and I was in Manhattan at the Samuel Beckett Theater, went through the tunnel, drove to Brooklyn to Maimonides Hospital, and my first daughter was born. So
wow, beautiful,
crazy, right?
How old is she?
She's 32 now. Yeah. Yep.
Mine is 47.
Wow. Dude, our kids are getting old.
I thought you had babies.
Yeah, no, my little one, my younger one, who's 24, she lives at home. She's a nurse in the city, and so she's still at home. But my big one's, she's been out for a while. I have grandkids. So,
no kidding, Jim. I would never peg you for having grandkids.
Yes.
How many?
3.
Me too.
3 grandkids. Oh, you have 3?
Yeah.
1 girl and 2 boys.
2 boys and a girl for me too.
Wow. We have so much in common.
Amazing.
Totally nuts.
Yeah, that's quite a coincidence, right?
Yeah, really. Oh my God. Well, next time when you're back in New York, when it gets warmer, right? When you're back in New York,
it'll be in April.
Yeah, I'm definitely, as long as this phase of the pandemic is at bay, I'll be taking you out for lunch or dinner or something. We'll have to have a good hang.
Oh, I love that. Love that.
So that was cool about the tracks. That definitely answered Lucia's question. Anthony's got a question. Anthony Cusina. He says, when you laid down the track on Funky President, I noticed you played very little fills and no crashes. What were some of your thoughts on that track? Can I just interject real quick? That was a James Brown track, and he was not like looking for people to bring that to the table, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I played what I thought a James Brown drummer would play.
Okay.
And dry, just raw beat. I had some ghost notes going though. I had some drags, left-hand drags, in there.
Yeah.
And it starts off with a fill. There's only one. There's one fill in there that is purposely not a James Brown fill that I snuck in there, just to say hi, Ma.
Nice.
Like that. And but it starts off with Dacadum.
Yep.
So and then in the middle, way down the end, towards the end, it's 1, 2, 3, biddly-ba.
Oh, you got a biddly-ba in?
Yeah, I got stick it back, pick it back.
Man,
pick it back.
I can't believe you got away with that.
Right. I can't believe it. Well, they couldn't edit. In those days, they couldn't really edit.
Yeah. Time is
they
money
couldn't
too.
get Pro Tools. They couldn't Pro Tool things.
That's right. How much direction did you get from James, in the studio? Anything at all or no?
Well, the other part of the story is James came in and sang after the track was laid down.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, Jim, I left there not feeling great because the other guys, some other guys in the band, were not suited for that. One guy committed suicide. His name was Sam Brown. He was a guitarist.
Oh.
And one guy was Joe Beck, who was a very great musician, but not R&B.
Right.
And when I heard the track, I realized what a genius James Brown was, because he could take anything and sew it together.
Yeah.
And just with a vocal and pull all the ends together and really tighten it up. And I really got a kick out of the engineer telling me that James said, let's get the Jew boy back again.
That's great. Oh my
And then
God.
I got to meet him. I got to meet him because I didn't meet him then. You just go to your session, go to the next session,
Right.
know. But I did finally get to meet him, and it was fun. It was fun meeting him.
Wow. James Brown is like it's really funny. He's like the only artist from that time that was making records on vamps. It's just like vamp a groove, vamp, boom.
Yeah, right.
Like the funkiest vamps on the planet, but he was making vamps like pretty much, it's pretty interesting. And so like
Exactly.
there's very few fills anywhere on those records. You know, very, very few. Sometimes
No,
just
it
one
was-
note, right?
Yeah. Back.
Yeah.
Like one snare crack, but it was about the groove.
Yeah.
It had it. It had a dance, and if it wasn't dancing, his vocals would get in between everything and shake it up so it was dancing.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the rhythm of his vocals are just like a force. Wow.
He sings like a drummer. It's
Exactly. Exactly.
it's
Right.
all rhythm. And the other thing that's kind of cool is it doesn't really matter what he's saying. It all works. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it's, I don't know that many of his lyrics, but it's all super funky and it's all it's intricately wound into the groove so well.
Yes, I
Man,
know.
it's so fun.
Yeah,
Wow, what a great experience, man.
it was great.
Wow.
Couple of goodies out, a couple of good ones out there on the long journey.
Did you get to play live with him at all, or just those sessions?
Just those sessions.
Yeah, yeah. He played drums on an early track, a track called Limbo Jimbo,
No kidding.
and he played drums on it. And
How did he sound?
great. And what's so
Yeah.
funny is he's borrowing from from Jabo and from Clyde. He's borrowing a little bit. So like he played the whole tune on the ride, right? So there's no
No kidding.
there's no hi-hat on it. He's playing the ride. And what's kind of interesting is it's kind of like a an early 60s kind of got like a double snare. Right?
Oh yeah.
But he displaces the and he plays on the and of 4 instead of on 4. So he was going like so that little
Very
displacement.
funky. It's
He-
funky even the way you're singing it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's such a cool little groove. I've taught some young students to play that Limbo Jimbo tune just because it's pretty easy to. It's a good tempo because it's pretty down tempo, and
it's a great illustration of a variation too.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
To show them a variation.
It's funny when my book came out, I did a book release at Rockwood Music Hall in the city, and it was all drummers in the room pretty much, and I was releasing my book, and I had a trivia contest. And so the trivia contest, I was giving away different stuff, sticks and books and things.
Right.
And that was one of the questions, and nobody got it. And nobody got that one. It was kind of interesting.
Oh,
Yeah. It was a question about which James Brown tune James played drums on, and there was one about I forget now which tune I was talking about, but one that Paul McCartney played drums on because he was also a good drummer, and
yes.
and nobody got that one either. It was kind of funny. So let's see what else people are saying. So Anthony Cusina, great question about Funky President. I love it. And he had a follow-up. He said, who are some of the drummers that inspired you coming up? And I know some of this answer, but you go ahead.
Well, the ones that I just want, I wish I would become them, that I adored so much, were all jazz drummers.
Yep.
And it was Philly Joe, Elvin Jones, and Roy Haynes and Pete LaRocca
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah.
and Max Roach.
Yeah, I was about to say, you mentioned Max to me before. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have a picture. I got to send it to you. A picture that was supposed to be in a magazine called Percussioner magazine,
Okay.
and at the 11th hour, midnight, it was pulled from the presses. It never made it to the presses, and there was a whole. I was on the cover with Max, Bernard Purdy representing R&B. I was representing the studio guy, Max Jazz, and Ginger Baker playing rock and roll.
Wow.
And I'll send you the picture
Oh, I'd love to see that.
when we hang up. Yeah,
By the way, what was your experience like meeting Ginger?
not great, not
Yeah,
great.
that's what everybody
he was,
says.
He was pretty hyper and pretty arrogant. I mean, he truly believed he was up there with the genius of Elvin Jones and Philly Joe. I don't know if it merited that.
Right.
You know, some tracks that I enjoyed his playing on, but John Bonham was a killer rock and roll
Yeah.
drummer to me. I mean, that was frightening almost.
From a feel point of view, if you put Ginger Baker next to Bonham, no, there's no comparison.
No comparison, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Bonham was, he was bringing something from somewhere else.
Exactly.
It's like-
Exactly.
You were going to church when you listened to him play.
Right. What's the song where he has the second and third triplet being played with the bass drum for the whole bar?
Yeah, yeah, he's doing that in Good Times, Bad Times. And yeah.
Oh man.
And at that tempo,
Yeah.
like, when I was a kid, I was like, wait a minute, how's he doing that with his one foot,
Yeah, it was one. Yeah, it was no double pedal.
And then, once I learned how to do it, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, John Bonham. Yeah,
Yeah,
so amazing.
yeah.
And you, that kind of fancy footwork you hear from the jazz greats, man. So like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
think about what guys were doing on some pretty primitive pedals in the early days, So
Yeah.
yeah, man, crazy, right? Let's see.
Dude, do you have trouble with your bass drum pedal sometimes, like where it's just like it's not cooperating or something? It's like either it's the tension bolt that just kind of loosens up just a little too much or something, or it's your foot stiffening up. But sometimes it doesn't respond, and it's like maddening,
Yeah. I had a Speed King when I was a kid, but it was
with the
used-
rounded plate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got that pedal on Kings Highway in Brooklyn at Sam Ash. When it was upstairs, it was like you had to go up the steps on the corner.
Yep.
And I got my first Ludwig Red Sparkle drum set there, and I got that Speed King pedal, but it was kind of gummed up, so it didn't behave that well. And eventually I got a Camco chain drive pedal, which was like the first chain drive pedal I ever had. And Camco, that was before Tama bought Camco. So I had that Camco chain drive pedal. That was a game changer for my foot because I didn't realize that Ludwig Speed King pedal, which I still have in my shed, by the way.
You do? Wow.
It just got stuck sometimes. It just wasn't that good, man. But eventually I did own a good Speed King pedal, but I love those Camco chain drive pedals.
Yes. That made a difference. And then before that, there was leather strap. Do you remember that?
Yeah, for sure.
and then every once in a while they'd break, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love Jojo Mayer a few years ago put out a Sonar pedal that was a signature pedal. Jojo Mayer's own model. So he had a strap on the pedal, and that's a great feeling pedal. And it's kind of modeled after early pedals.
Ah,
So when he was researching bass drum pedals, I actually introduced him to a friend of mine in Brooklyn, Vince Giordano, and we looked at his pedal collection. And Jojo had the prototype with him of that
oh
Sonar pedal
wow.
that he designed. Yeah, really amazing. But that's one strap still that uses a strap. It's not a leather strap, but it's a some synthetic strap. But that's one strap pedal that's still around. That's like amazing pedal. So kudos to Jojo Mayer for that. So, oh, Lindsay, how you doing, man? Lindsay says, Jim and Allan, any Peter Gabriel stories? Love your drumming. So that might have been from earlier. I know you talked a little bit about touring with Peter Gabriel, but any other stories that come to mind? Maybe maybe
Let's see.
tracking.
When I first met Peter, he we were introduced at Nimbus 9 Studios, and he was eating an avocado with the skin on.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, and the price tag also is still on there. He was, when I first saw him, my eyes popped out of my head because he was so quiet. You know, he grew up, his father was secretary to the Queen of England. And so he grew up on the grounds of Kensington Palace.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And when he got on stage, he was very, very shy and reserved and proper. And when he got on stage, just would go berserk. And it was classic, you know, just letting it out in the art form, you know. The story about, like, I don't hear drum. I'm not sure I hear drums on this. Everybody, by the way, felt the same. I polled everybody. Everybody felt the same. That, boy, this is such a different song. I have no idea what guitar part to play on this, you know?
Yeah.
Because Peter wrote everything at the piano. We had a great going away party after the tour and the album. I regret not staying with him longer. But I wanted to play different stuff. I wanted to play other things, you know?
Yeah.
And it you know how it gets, like you're playing like a show, and pretty soon, you know, you're doing it in your sleep, and it doesn't feel that great. And so I love doing studio work because it's always different. You're always asked to play like a different style that's not really you. And so I decided that Jimmy Malin and I both together felt the same way. We didn't do a second tour, but we should have done the second tour, because I think we had, I think Sledgehammer came on that one, and we could have nailed that beautifully.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it came out very well, but anyway.
Wow.
What else? Let's see. I'm trying to. When I think of stories, I like to think of like funny things or touching things. He got us all. Just came to mind. He got us all gifts.
Really?
Yeah, I think everybody got a gift at the end of the album. He had a great sense of humor, but it was that English reserved, dry thing that's just on a high level, I think, you know.
Right. Oh my God. Oh, I love that.
If I think of another one, I'll I'll blurt it out. But
Yeah,
we,
please do.
we spent a lot of time together. We spent over a year together on the road and in the studio.
Wow, amazing. That's
I
amazing.
wish they would remix that album too, by the way,
Yeah.
because something happened in the mix uh, where it only really sounds good with headphones.
Okay.
Sounds great with headphones, but without headphones, it sounds like kind of weak. I don't know why.
Huh.
But the content, the music and the songs and the material are just so on such a high level that you kind of brush that aside. I think. Tell me, if you ever get a chance,
Yeah.
the difference between you can hear a lot more with the headphones, than you
Okay.
can.
I'll do that. I'll do that comparison. And also, what's kind of interesting is a lot of records these days you can find the stems like out in the universe. I wonder if the stems are floating around somewhere. It'd be interesting to put the stems up in like Logic or Pro Tools and then just seeing what you could do with the mix.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if that won, but it's worth trying to look for
I
it.
wish somebody would. That would be amazing.
Somebody recently, a vocal teacher, did a first reaction to listening to Salisbury Hill, which was kind of pretty cool that they were listening to that tune in particular.
Yeah.
I'll have to find that link. Maybe I'll send you that link. Very cool. So Ray Levere says epic interview. So thanks for that, Ray. Let's see. Dave Clive, my friend with the Gretsch Museum, is in here. So he says greetings from Brooklyn and Dave Clive's Gretsch Museum. Awesome show, Jim and Allan. And he said the snare drum that he brought was his Gretsch Black Diamond Pearl progressive jazz snare. But Dave, tell me if you own a blue. Who has the blue Gretsch drums that we were talking about the other night? See if you can remember that, because Allan's first Gretsch set was a blue Pearl Gretsch kit. So, and I bet you Dave knows what year that's from, because he's such a.
Well, if he's a Gretsch collector, he may know Steve Schaefer. You know who Steve Schaefer is? Drummer in California. A lot of movie dates. Used to play with Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Right.
He played on Rise, which was Herb Alpert's hit. Played with a bunch of people, but got beautifully lost in the movie scene.
Oh, okay.
Did about 1,000, literally 1,000 movie scores.
That's amazing.
Including the the MGM theme and every little bit of Hollywood he was involved in. But he was a Gretsch collector, and Steve had the one and only prototype set, which I bet your friend would know about.
Yeah.
Never duplicated, and sold for I think $10,000.
Yeah.
Not too long ago. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
But Steve was an equipment guy too. He didn't realize it, but he had storage like 50 kits in his garage. He had complete, some of them not out of the boxes,
Wow, that's amazing.
Imagine.
Well,
anyway,
you played on a pretty epic movie theme, right?
Oh,
didn't the Star Wars theme get released as a disco?
The Star Wars single.
Yeah,
the Star Wars Cantina Band.
Cantina Band.
That was the believe it or not, Jim. That was the largest selling instrumental of all time.
I believe it. You heard that
it was
everywhere
classic.
back then. Yeah.
And you just reminded me, I'm here in Florida, and a good friend of mine. Do you ever hear the name Bon Jovi? Tony Bon Jovi, not John Bon Jovi.
Is it?
Did you ever hear Power Station. You know Power
Yeah,
Station?
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Tony built Power Station. He's one of my oldest friends, and we do work down here. We've done a lot of work down here in Florida. He's got a place here in the studio,
Oh, wow.
and you were alluding to some kind of like getting the stems, and let's see what we could do with them. He has an algorithm that he's been working on for many years, and he could take an old record sound and make it sound. I mean, like a Patsy Cline record from the '60s, make it sound like it was recorded yesterday.
Wow. Oh my God.
It's miraculous. It's like science fiction or something. It's just crazy.
Get him.
Look for it. It's what is it called? Well, Google Tony Bon Jovi and
I
Bon
will.
Jovi Bon Jovi sound. I forgot what he refers to it as.
Hey, Alan, get him working on that Peter Gabriel record.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe he'll get
I
a
wish
better
I
mix. Oh my God, that's crazy. Vincent LaRussa says, "Why did Kiss only have you play drum fills on that 1984 album Animalize?"
Gene Simmons. Gene was the guy saying needs fills.
Yeah.
I wasn't there to argue.
Right.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't need fills, but
He
somebody
wanted-
asks you and is willing to pay you to do it.
Yeah.
That's the end of that story, right?
How is he as a boss, so to speak?
He's a good guy. We had one little mini confrontation in England, where all of Elliot Randall, the guitarist, Neil Jason, the bass player, and Richard T. Bear was a keyboard player. We all sat him down and said, "Hey, look, we're all living in this house together, making your record together with you. We have names. Stop referring to us as drums, and stop referring to us as piano. It's like just a little effort, please. It'll feel good. It'll feel better."
Yeah.
All right, Dad. I'm sorry, man. Sorry. Okay, and that was it.
Wow.
But he purposely did. I think he purposely did it to distance himself, because he's a boss. Gene is a boss, and I think he was pretty much the boss of Kiss.
Yeah.
Maybe because he had the biggest tongue, or because he had the biggest mouth, or something. Who knows?
But you're right. I mean, he wore that hat like a CEO of a company.
Yeah, exactly right.
Probably due to a lot of the successes due to that. Probably, I would think.
The ballsiness. Do you know they were a band called Wicked Lester? That was their original.
Yeah.
You knew that, right? Yeah. They were working at Electric Lady, prancing up and down Electric Lady Studios with boots. And
That's a vision.
we were doing an album in the back studio with B.J. Thomas, and we used to kind of laugh and say, "Jesus Christ, what about the music?" I mean,
Right.
the music is not on your feet. It's like, but all right, I guess it's showbiz, whatever it is. But man, did he turn that into a mint?
Yeah. Oh my God. Crazy.
Gotta hand it to him.
It's like the McDonald's of music, right?
Oh yeah, God, incredible.
Um,
We got anybody else asking anything?
yeah, let me see. Anthony Casino also asked, and this will lead us kind of into more of the story. Is so how did you get started in the session world? Like, what led you to that point?
Well, it started. My first sessions were with jazzers like Richie Kamuka, was the saxophone player in Shelly Mann's band, and a band leader himself. And he kind of like took me under his wing, and I did sessions with him. But it really came, the studio work came from doing jingles. And there are some jingle producers and writers that are still alive, still going, that were very, very helpful. And they would provide weekly work, and not only weekly work, but nice checks, that would come with it. And some of them were like a guy named Dave Lucas, a guy named David Horowitz, Richard Drews had a company called Murder Music. David Lucas was Lucas and McFall, and they had all these giant media accounts like GE, and they had the slogans, GE, we bring good things to life. It's like they're the ones that thought of all this stuff, and they would do sessions with live guys, and they loved doing that. And the jingle business, then slowly everybody from the jingle business kind of melted into the record business. It all became like a guild, of studio guys, and it was a lot of times the same guys on. Same guitar players, same bass players, same couple of drummers. And I at that time, the drummers they weren't trying hard. And I really wanted this. And I used to go in and listen to every playback.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the older studio guys would say, are we done? Is that it? You like? Is that good enough? Can we go? And
Right.
I'd be in there listening to the tom sound, whether if they sounded like they did out live in the room and stuff like that. And I think it got noticed, and I got called for more and more stuff. I'll never never forget when Steve Gadd came to town, and we got together, and I would recommend him to some jingles, and some people would say, "Hey, Al, thanks, man. He's a killer. What a killer drummer. We're going to use him." Great.
See, only drummers. It's like we're like a crazy extended family of like, we kind of have this other thing than other musicians. See, like you're passing work along to another drummer, which,
Yeah.
Like we're competitive to some extent, but to each other, I mean, I think we treat each other differently, more like family.
Yeah, we did. Drummers talk to drummers differently than
Totally.
other guys. There's one drummer in the band usually.
Yeah.
It's either your gig or your friend's gig.
Yeah, man.
Or your other friend's gig. So, and when you got a family and you got responsibilities, it's different. It's just different. There's usually, almost always, was two guitar players on every date.
Right.
And a lot of times two keyboard players, one playing synth, one playing piano. So yes, there is a camaraderie that I think we have.
Yeah, 100%.
I speak to Steve Schaefer very often.
Really?
We love talking drum shit, and you would enjoy it too.
Wait, maybe I'll have the two of you on together. That would be amazing.
Oh, that'd be great. You'd love Steve. He's a beauty.
Wow.
You Google him, you'll see he's a great player too.
So let me ask you this. So is, because you went to Manhattan School for a couple of years studying classical percussion, right? And
Yeah.
you were younger, right? When like did they had sort of like a youth program or something? Cuz
No, I wasn't that young. It was after graduating high school and going to Queens College for a little bit.
oh, okay.
Then I went to Manhattan School of Music, and they were anti-jazz. They
Right.
were the opposite of Berkeley,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and nobody gave a shit about uh, harmonizing figured bass. Bach,
Right, right.
Bach fugues and stuff like that. And we just and it paid the tuition, but ended up going out and drinking.
Right.
Uh, I went to school with Marty Morell and Steve Schaefer. I think went to that school too. Bob Mann, a lot of players. Hugh Masekela was the trumpet major.
Yeah.
Nobody got anything out of it. It was like a waste. And the percussion ensemble was only avant-garde stuff. It wasn't even the literature.
Right,
It
right.
wasn't the classics that you would be nice to know, be familiar with. Oh, here comes Sue.
Sue. She's our hero.
Jim gave you a great plug before.
I know. I loved it before. I already told Tara how much I love it.
You told Tara? Okay.
By the way, I forgot to mention that at the very top, but I think maybe we had met once very briefly years ago, but then I met you again at your house because I'm teaching. We have mutual friends. I teach Tara, Martini Kerneen's kids, so I was teaching her boys, and at the time, mostly Shane, and they were at the grandmother's house down the block, right?
Yep.
Who was your neighbor, and I came over and did a little bit of a drum lesson in your basement with Shane.
I remember that. I do remember that.
I not only remember that, I'll never forget that, because that's when I told Tara, I had like tears in my eyes, thinking, selfishly thinking like, man, he's got a great teacher here. I wish I would have come up with a teacher like that.
Thanks,
And
man.
yeah, I'll never forget that.
I was
I
working.
remember one thing you were teaching that was almost unheard of was leading with left hand.
Yeah.
Left hand lead. I
Yep.
mean, that's such a great thing to be able to do, and I couldn't do it if you put a gun to my head.
I was teaching. Shane was pretty young at the time. I was teaching him
Yeah.
shuffles, so I was working on his shuffle feel, and yeah, he was playing open-handed. It's pretty wild. Super fun, man.
I mean, left-handed on the hi-hat
Yeah,
if you're as a righty,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is I think like a pretty good advantage.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
sometimes play that way?
Yeah, so I'll use both. I'm a lefty, by the way.
Oh,
So
okay.
primarily I play left-hand lead, but then I play right-hand lead on my hi-hat for certain things. Certain grooves I play open, certain grooves I play crossed. So I think it's good to have a mix of both.
Yeah.
Opens up a lot of doors.
Who'd you study with, Jim?
So in my older years, I studied with Dom Famularo, who's a
Oh,
close friend of mine, and so I studied with Dom Famularo. But I also studied at Drummers Collective with Kim Plainfield and Marvin Smitty Smith, and
right.
very briefly with Victor Lewis.
Oh, what a beauty,
Yeah,
Victor
yeah,
Lewis.
And
What a real jazz drummer, man! Wow.
oh yeah. And you know, I
What
studied
did Victor teach you? Can you remember a moment from that lesson?
with Victor. It was all ride cymbal feel, time feel.
Yeah, I bet.
Just throwing really wide open quarter notes and just working on where the time was sitting. Yeah, it was really,
Ah,
really great. And he was telling stories about, playing with everybody. So that was really wonderful to listen to his stories, I also studied with Charlie
he's
Persip.
such a great player from the school that I think is just you never been touched.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah,
You
100%.
right up there with Art Taylor and Louis Hayes and all those great jazzers.
Yeah.
Is he well, Victor Lewis? Are you in touch with him?
I'm not in touch with him. I don't know if he's well. So if anybody knows, if anybody's got the inside scoop on Victor, let me know. I've not been in touch with him for a long time now, but
I can't picture him not being well, because he's so full of music and life.
Yeah.
And I think he was teaching a lot too, or like on a college level.
Yeah. He was teaching for a time, and when he was doing the Time Mingus Big Band, I would go see him play in the city with that big band doing the Mingus thing.
Wow, how was
And-
that?
Oh my God, killer! It's unbelievable. And then I also studied with Charlie Persip, and that was really great too.
Ooh,
Yeah, really fun. I enjoyed that very much. So yeah, man, those were
that's
good
great
days.
for you, man. Boy, those are some great teachers.
Yeah, man. Actually, Anthony Cassina is asking if you ever met Gary Chester on the studio scene.
The old man, Gary Chester, because there's two Gary Chesters.
Gary
His
Chester.
son.
Yeah, so Gary that wrote New Breed, the New Breed book. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh, okay. The teacher, the drum teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He was great. He was great. He did a lot of the 50s records,
Right.
And early 60s stuff. Creative, and he left the scene kind of angry, grumbling. I could just see the black cloud over his head, like, man, I could play as good as any of these kids, and
Yeah, right.
and he could, but that's not how it works. It's like it's a cycle, it has to change.
Yeah.
But his son is a great engineer, Gary Jr., and he's a good old friend who I miss seeing. Everybody used to see each other a lot. Not anymore, of course.
Right. Yeah.
But Gary Chester was. Somebody ought to make a list of the hit records, because it's all your parents' favorite records.
Yeah. In the back of his book, in the back of New Breed, he has a selected discography.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's pretty intense. There's a lot of records listed back there.
I bet.
Yeah, a lot of hit records back there. That's funny, man.
Did he play on Frankie Lyman records?
I'm not sure. I would
That
have to look.
was one of the greatest records of all time.
Yeah. Oh my
Wow.
God. Would you say that, like, for your scene, when you were really busy, let's say like in the real heat of things, was there sort of a wrecking crew, like a group of guys that you were always in the studio with, sort of like?
Yes.
You guys were getting called as a core thing often.
Yes. It was the guitar players were Jerry Friedman, a guy named Jerry Friedman, who you could hear play one of the most influential guitar players. White Jewish guy, played like the most soulful black man ever.
Wow.
He played on Your Love Is a Supernatural Thing, Benny King.
Wow.
And just listen to the guitar part. Just listen to that guitar part. He was part of it. Bob Mann, David Spinoza, a guitarist, Hugh McCracken.
Yeah, yeah.
Hugh McCracken's not here anymore.
No, I know.
And bass players were Marcus Miller and Francisco Santano, Neil Jason. It was a lot of the same guys.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, a lot of. There were cliques though. We had our accounts, our people that used us. You know.
Right.
But there were a lot of people doing a lot of work because there were no synths and no machines. So every demo you'd have to pull in a band,
Yep.
live band, which was fantastic. You know, the end of I've done 25 dates a week. You know,
Wow.
for stretches of 25 sessions a week. But that's because there were like a lot of demos. You just do 1 hour sessions. You know.
Right.
But that paid money, you know, and it's good living,
Yeah.
living. But then after the programming came around, that it was rightfully so. I mean, it cost nothing to do.
Yeah.
Nobody's late. Nobody's talking back. You know?
Right.
But you know, and then when it came time to do the real thing, they would use a live band.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man. Oh, that was
A guy named Sammy Merendino taught me a lot about the Lin 9000. Because I used. Did you have one? Or do you still have one?
No, I don't really have any drum machines at this point. I do know some guys that have classic machines still that have held on to them. Do you have any of that stuff or no?
I still have a 9000.
Oh, nice.
And I have Syndromes. I'm afraid to open it to see because they haven't been opened in 15, 20 years, you know.
So I was going to ask you, did you spend some time learning to program, because then they needed guys that could program the stuff, right? So
yeah. To me it made it was like I didn't get it. But then I got it. Then I got the reason why. There's a certain sound, there's a certain mechanics thing that you want to get, and precision that you have to get, and repetitive thing you have to get that you really can't get live. It's hard to get live.
Yeah.
Maybe Abe Laborio Jr. could do that, or Vinnie Colaiuta
right.
could actually repeat exactly and play right on the dot.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had to learn it because they wanted it. So
yep.
I wanted to keep working.
Yeah, man. I'll say though, I think there's kind of a beauty to playing with it, like playing live drums over programs.
So much fun, right?
That's fun, you know.
Yeah.
And definitely enjoy that, you know.
Lay down a percussion part and we have it be weaving in and out of your drum part. It's great.
Yeah,
great.
Man.
And then triggers came along, and you would play some stuff live, you know, like play a hand clap on 4, with a pad, you know, that kind of thing, and Tom fills. It was a good time. It was a good time then too. A lot of good times.
I still have like some early D drum triggers that came out. I mean, not real old triggers. I had some hotspots. Remember when they had the ones that were called hotspots?
Yep.
They stuck onto the drums, the little quarter-inch adapter. The D drum ones clamp onto the drum, onto the rims, and those came out like in the late '80s or early '90s. But I have a set of those still, of those D drum triggers, because I had to trigger tom sounds. I was playing with some, sort of pop rock stuff that wanted all that triggered, drum sound. So, but it was fun.
Yeah. I think it's back to pure live, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, now like Yamaha's got that EAD10 that clamps onto your bass drum, so you can have a whole processed sound on your entire kit from one little sensor. It's insane.
Oh, is that right? I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What's it called?
The EAD10. Yeah. When we hang, I'll turn you on to what that thing does. It's pretty crazy. Yamaha makes that.
EAD10. I endorse Yamaha, so I get they send me stuff.
Oh yeah, man. Talk to them about that. You'd probably dig it. You know.
EAD10. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
gonna find out
EAD.
about that.
Yeah.
Hey
And-
Jim, I like spending this time with you, man. I love talking about this stuff. Like especially drums. As we said, drummers have a special like kind of little language and conversation that they have.
100%, man. It's been really fun.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Can you tell? If you got any more callers or?
Let me see. Ray's got a question. He said, "Any sketchy moments in the studio, and how did you overcome it?"
Sketchy moments, sure.
I'm sure you got stories, right?
Yeah. One way of overcoming it is to turn the click up, so and make sure everybody's hearing it. Because people start drifting and you start drifting with them,
Yeah.
or be affected by their drift. And yeah, there's always moments.
Yeah.
We'll talk. A couple of hangover moments too.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure. What about like here? I'll do this. I got some speed round questions for you. Ready? So, and there's a couple silly ones because we're from New York, and I'll have a couple little New York questions. But real quick, first record you ever bought?
Topsy Part 2.
Oh wow, cool. You already answered that. Your first concert you ever attended, live music.
First real live music I heard was, I think, at Radio City Music Hall, the orchestra playing and the sound of that music spilling out and spilling into the audience.
Oh wow.
The live music.
Oh, killer. First big gig. I think that was Peter Gabriel. Big arena type gig. Or mountain.
Oh, arena gig. Arena gig was I think it was Mountain. I think
Mountain.
Mountain was the first. Yeah.
Big venue, yeah.
My first like real name thing, which Grady Tape. Remember Grady Tape?
Yeah.
He recommended me to Stan Getz's band, and I won the audition and went over to play with him in England. That was like the first win, like kind of like the first time that I ever won a thing, and it was kind of a talk of the town gig because he was so popular. Getz.
Did you have to walk in and just read down the charts for that?
I auditioned with a couple of other drummers.
Okay.
Bob Moses was one of them.
Yeah. Wow.
And there was a drummer there, a friend of Stan's, great drummer that I love. Can't think of his name. Great jazz drummer, and he was kind of like coaxing Stan. Which one he liked and which one. Because anyway, I packed up my stuff. I said, "Thank you guys, appreciate it, enjoyed it," And Stan came running after me and said, "Where you going, man? You got the gig." You know?
Wow.
And really, well, okay, wasn't sure about that.
Oh my God.
And then Miroslav played bass, and Stanley Cowell was the piano player. Then I'll tell you the rest of the story, which is not now though, because it's
Not for prime time.
no, it didn't end the way I pictured it at all. But anyway, we'll pick that one up.
Worst or weirdest gig ever? You don't have to name names unless you want to, but worst or weirdest gig ever?
Let's see. Worst gig. I think worst gig ever was my early jobs in the Catskills as a teenager.
Okay.
Band was horrendous. They were awful. And I was starting to practice, and I couldn't stand playing with them. They were
Paying your dues, man.
yeah.
Oh my God. How did you get the gig with Peter Gabriel, by the way? Was that an audition process or?
Well, I had worked with Bob Ezrin on Alice Cooper,
Right.
and then Tim Curry, and then a couple of different records. We got along great, and he liked the way I played, and he was the best producer I ever worked for. He was the producer's producer.
Yeah.
You've never seen anything like it, man. He goes around the room, picks up everybody's instrument, and says, "Try something like this," and plays a great lick on it. You know,
Wow.
including drums, Jim.
Oh my
including drums. I said, "Woo! I think it's a little too much, though, Bob, for this." Yeah, you're probably right, but but Jesus. And then the engineer gets sick, so he engineers the date, and then finally lets the multi-track run, comes out and plays the keyboard and sings the reference vocal
Oh my
for
God.
the song. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, as opposed to a producer like that just says, "Guys, what do you want? Like Italian or Chinese?" You know.
Right. Oh my God. Oh, that's crazy.
So they're bad ones, and there are a couple of great ones. Very few great ones.
By the way, like on that Alice Cooper record, that tune "I Never Cry," that was like a radio hit.
It was, yeah.
The ballad. Like you never heard. I mean, he did do some other kind of things like that later on, but not really to that extent. That really just sounds like a total, like almost,
Another album came from another album, right?
Yeah, like it's from a different record. It's crazy.
Yeah, a different artist and everything. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And the drums are pretty sparse. Like you don't come in until probably the second verse or something, or the pre-chorus.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, and you're playing on that. Oh, you feel is so great, man. Oh my God, I love it.
You're kind, man. Thank you.
All right. I got.
I'm having a problem with my teeth, Jim. So.
Okay.
I got a dental appointment tomorrow.
Okay.
So pretty soon you're going to see teeth flying. You know?
We don't want teeth flying.
You don't need it. You don't need that.
We'll let you get back to your life. I
enjoyed this so much. I'm going to tell Steve Schaefer about it.
Yeah, man.
And, do that. And could this be viewed anywhere?
Yeah. So what's going to happen is this. So tonight it'll still be up on Facebook. It'll run there for a little bit, but it gets archived on my YouTube channel. So anybody that wants to know that, it'll be archived over on my YouTube channel, Jim Toscano. And it'll stay there on my live stream playlist with all the other live streams. So it will be indeed archived, for good over there on YouTube. And I'll send you the links. So if you want to pass that along to Steve Schaefer,
I would. Yeah, that'd be great.
and
That'd be great.
and you and I'll talk soon. And when you're back in New York, we're gonna go out and get something to eat together and catch up. But I appreciate you being so generous with your time. And tell Susan, thank you for being generous with your time.
I will tell her, Jimmy. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. We'll talk soon.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
brother. Have a great night.
You too.
All right. Bye now. There goes Allan, guys. So, hey, just real quick, before I head out, I want to thank everybody for hanging in the chat. I'm so glad that Allan and I were able to make this happen. So thanks for the hang. And soon you'll be seeing a lot of other artists that we're having on. So stay tuned for more of these live streams every Monday. And the Hand Technique Workshop is coming back to being a live stream very soon. My little Zoom squad knows we're up to 101 pages of routines in the Hand Technique Workshop. So that will be coming back as a live thing. So I just want to thank everybody. And I had to let Allan go quickly. So we appreciate you, Allan. And I'll see everybody real soon. Good night to everybody. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, all you guys. All right.